Okay, it looks like we have everybody. This is People of the State of Michigan versus Joshua Brown, docket number 20-675FH. This is the time set for sentencing. And Mr. Brown, before we go further, can you confirm for me that you are in agreement with doing this sentencing remotely?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Brown, you were convicted of aggravated domestic assault and battery. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 1 year in jail. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. You are represented by Mr. Hess. Mr. Hess, have you had a chance to go through the pre-sentence report with your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any additions, deletions, or corrections?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, and there are no guidelines, of course, because this is a misdemeanor. Ms. Allen, did the people have any additions, deletions, or corrections to the report?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, then, as I understand it, there is a victim who wishes to be heard.
Yes, Your Honor, and yeah, sorry, she's here. Ms. Murray, I have your statement. Would you like me to read it for you, or would you like to address the court yourself?
I'd like you to read it, please.
Okay. Your Honor, and this is a statement from Jessica Murray, and she's the victim on this case. While I understand events that did not take place on September 9th, 2020 may not be used in this case, I'd like for it to be known that domestic violence from Joshua has been an issue for the last 2.5 years of our 3-year relationship. While not only isolating me from my family, friends, and coworkers, he controlled every aspect of my life. I could only shower, eat, and even sleep when it was acceptable for him. Josh often made me miss a shift or leave work because of who was working with me. He was known to show up at my job and confront guests, accusing complete strangers of outrageous things. Josh would often use his size to his advantage, usually pushing me to the ground and standing over me yelling. Over time, Josh became more and more comfortable with physically hurting me. He turned to grabbing my neck, full fist punching, and kicking often. I would call 911, but he usually would take the phone, hang up, and by the time 911 would call back, he'd convince me to tell them I was fine or have me not answer at all. If I ever tried to leave, he'd take my keys, push me away from the door, and unpack my things, often breaking my personal belongings, such as my phone. Josh would often make me feel awful for my weight. I lost 40 pounds after our relationship started, and I solely blame it on stress. He would body shame me daily, then at night he became a sex addict. Josh would get physically abusive. I didn't want to have sex with him, so I usually laid in tears and let it happen. Joshua had a rough upbringing, being abused in many ways as a child, which I believe plays a strong role in who he is today. But I also know that over 3 years, I was full of chances and understanding, full of just say I'm sorry and I'll be okay, full of nothing but love for him, despite how he treated me to my face and behind my back. Josh never stopped. In fact, it only got worse. I love Joshua with all of my heart, and that is why I had so much hope he'd change. I know that if he gets away with no punishment, he won't see that putting your hands on someone is not okay, ever. I did everything I could to make him see that on my own. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your being here and your comments. Ms. Allen, did the people wish to be heard?
No, Your Honor, we've reviewed the pre-sentence investigation report. I think it's appropriate with the recommendations and takes into account the incident here and programming for the future. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And then Mr. Hess.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I respectfully ask that the court follow the recommendation of sentencing Mr. Brown to 12 months of probation so that he can show the court his ability to comply with the court orders. It's probably a good idea for Mr. Brown to stay away from the victim in this case. This is a situation where he needs to prove to the court his good behavior, do his best to keep a job, stay out of trouble. And I have no doubt that he'll be able to move on with his life and be successful as long as he can comply with what the court orders him to do on probation. Thank you.
Thank you. And now you, Mr. Brown, is there anything you wanted to say?
Yes, Your Honor. I know that I have shown Jessica that I have been a complete monster, and there's nothing in the world that I can do to physically make that up to her. when I met Jessica, I instantly fell in love, and as did she. But I failed at my job as a man to show her just what love could be and what it should be. And I just want her to be happy. Um, and I know that that will never be with me. And that's why I have compliant to the no contact order. And I have stepped aside to let her find happiness in her own ways. Um, and I just be a better person. And I don't feel that trying to continue a relationship with Jessica is going to be in the best interest of me in order to do that. And I can't apologize enough. And there's no words that I could say that could ever do anything to even touch the surface to the damage that I've done. And I'm just really, really sorry.
All right, thank you. Well, Mr. Brown, I do appreciate your what seems like genuine remorse and ownership of what you've done, and not trying to blame others or get out of it in any way. That is a good sign. However, um, I would suggest that you didn't really fall in love with Jessica, because what she described is alarming, and it's not love. That is not love. And I'm sure that Jessica will find love in the future. Um, but she's not going to find it from you, and she's not going to find it from anyone who treats her like you did. So you also will not find love in the future if you don't seriously, besides having remorse, seriously address the issues that are in you that brought about your treatment of Jessica. Because what she described is something that is not a one-off kind of situation. That's something that's likely to repeat itself, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, because that's something about you that is pretty deep, and I don't think it's going to go away. Having remorse and owning it is a really good first step. It's far better than a lot of people ever do. But you're going to have to take some additional steps beyond that, because that's really serious behavior that she described. So I do think, though, that the recommendation, given all circumstances, is appropriate, and I'm going to follow it. But it's with a view to getting you on a better path, which, again, as I was trying to tell you, means doing more than just saying, this was terrible what I did, but actually it's going to involve some introspective examination of yourself, and changing what you're about, so that there isn't another Jessica in your future. Because if you don't do that, there will be. So I'm going to place you on probation for a period of 18 months, 30 days in the Ingham County Jail with credit for 2 days served. I'll suspend the balance of your jail upon successful completion of probation. You have to pay $75 to the Crime Victims Fund, $50 in state costs, oversight fees in the amount of $180 payable at the rate of $10 a month, costs in the amount of $250 based on the State Court Administrative Office calculated average cost of a criminal case in Ingham County. It's actually a drastic reduction from that amount. Additional conditions of probation are no use or possession of alcoholic beverages, controlled substances, drug paraphernalia, or medical marijuana. You must comply with both drug and alcohol testing as your agent directs. You must use prescription drugs only as prescribed for you by a licensed physician. You must complete a domestic violence or batterer intervention program from a qualified community-based service provider. You must not engage in any assaultive, abusive, threatening, or intimidating behavior. You may not have any contact with anyone you know to have a felony record. You may not possess a weapon while you're on probation. You must comply with all the written and verbal orders of your agent. Let the agent into your home at any time. Submit to a search of your person or property without need of a warrant. Report any changes to your agent within 24 hours. You may not have any contact with Jessica Murray, either directly or through another person. No contact means in any form whatsoever, and you may not be within 500 feet of her residence, school, or place of employment. Mr. Brown, you are required also to contact the probation department within 24 hours of right now in order to just touch base with them and get your probation set up. They're going to give you what's called a probation orientation and go through all of your terms and conditions. They don't do that in person. They do it remotely. So you'll need to give their office a call. And if you don't have that contact, Mr. Hess can help you, but you'll need to do that right away. Mr. Brown, you have the right to file an application for leave to appeal your conviction and your sentence in this matter. You're entitled to an attorney at public expense to assist you in doing that. If you're making a request for one, you have to make it within 14 days of today's date. There is a form that you use for the appeal, and to request an attorney, you should just be aware that we will mail it to you, but you should just be aware that the time period starts running from today's date. Okay, do you have any questions?
Just one, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
I remember when I was there in we had talked about having my tether removed on the basis of the fact that there was my bond was upped for the reason I believe the reason he did it was that she didn't show up to the first hearing. Since then, I have not broken the no contact order, and I have not been anywhere near anywhere where she should be. I did talk to my lawyer, and I was asking, or I guess I was curious on if I am able to have my tether removed.
Yes, tether is a condition of bond. Bond ends at the time of sentencing. The no contact provision is a probation condition now instead of a bond condition. And it subjects you, if you violate it, to a probation violation hearing in front of me, where I could penalize you up to 1 year in jail. But you don't have to do the tether anymore.
Okay.
So you got it. It's through JSG, right?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you can. Do you report into them, or what do you do?
Yes, I do call. I am to call every Monday and report. And that's
So
about it.
you just give them a call, tell them you've been sentenced, so you're no longer on tether, and ask them how. I don't know how they're going about the removal of the tether. Don't just cut it off. So, I don't know how they're going about
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
They'll tell you what to do.
Okay.
Okay? Good luck.
Okay. Thank you.
You're all set.
Thank you.
Am I all set to leave?